What's up, guys? My name's Jeff. That's Mike. We are My Wife Still Likes Me. On today's episode, we are going to talk about what you're not saying. I don't think that's right either, but we're going to figure it out. Hey, how you doing?
Oh, it's going to be fun.
I don't even know if it sounds good or not. I should probably listen to it. I think I should.
You remember that show? Are we recording?
Yeah. I don't know where to put stuff like this. Like, this is great stuff. Mike, how are you?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. Just another wonderful day, getting by, making life happen with the spouse.
By.
Yeah. It's not always about everything being perfect. It's about getting by sometimes.
No, there's some days I just want to make it to the point where I can go to sleep.
Yes, without, any issues like bones being thrown around.
Does anybody
by
want the
dog?
dog? Because mine's being a ham today.
Oh, it's awesome.
All right. Today's uncommon question. If someone created a museum dedicated to you in your house with all your current belongings, what would be the most interesting display?
Silence. I'm actually speaking without saying a word. But, the most interesting display. Like funny, interesting.
I don't know.
Doesn't matter. See, that's not cool. You got props and stuff.
We're in my house.
Yeah.
I literally just thought about this. I can go first.
Yeah, please.
So, have you seen one of these?
I have not.
This is the statue you get at ordination. Statue?
That's why I haven't seen one. Because I'm not ordained yet.
Have you ever been to Point Loma?
No.
Yeah, you don't go to the, what do you call it? The
I'm
Communist
not going to
Republic?
say that because it's political and we don't talk about
Whatever.
that.
I don't care if we talk about it. Anyway, there's a life-size version of this on campus of Point Loma.
Oh, wow.
This is, now I got to remember, Jesus calling one of the disciples. So this is the most interesting thing that I think I have in my house of a display of things that I have. So this was given to me on ordination day.
Nice.
Which is funny. We say we don't talk about like faith being our first one. So this is,
All right, whatever.
anyway,
I mean, that's
it's on display in the cabinet. My certificate of ordination is behind it, but it's just one of those you accepting the call, and like it took a decade to get through the process for me,
nice.
from
Dedication.
thinking I was called to being ordained, and now working for a church and being a pastor. So this is probably my most interesting, meaningful. I say that. Behind us, you guys can see this. Behind us on the walls, we're in my house, but these are wedding pictures and family pictures, and like my high school diplomas over Mike's shoulder, and stuff like that. Like these are things like the whole reason we built this was to show off our stuff and like our cool things. But I think that's the most interesting. Like I use a I use a jewelry box to hold all my car keys. Like that's interesting. That's over by the door. Did you know that box
I
hanging
have
up?
no
on the,
idea.
yeah, that's a jewelry box. I think that's it. I don't have any like weird skeletons in my closet. Right now there's a dog kennel in my closet because that's where the dog sleeps. So I don't have anything weird. Yeah, we'll go for meaningful, interesting.
Oh, meaningful, interesting. Well, I mean, honestly, I can sit there. The first thing you'll see when you walk into my house is the 410, 115 stack that sits there. There's
I love this thing.
1, 2, 3, 4 bases around it. And I mean, obviously, if you think back, I mean, the whole process of us doing different things, we had a band at one time. We were all together in a band.
Yeah.
And that was very meaningful. I remember I still have the wagon that I'd pull my cab around with. Steph let me buy a new bass a while back, which is awesome. That sits down there now. But I think that in itself would be that's a great talking piece, I think, would be able to sit there and go, I didn't know he played bass. Because I don't flaunt it. I play at church sometimes, that's honestly, that's where I only play now. I'll mess around at home. Finally got a wireless transmitter receiver for it so I can walk around the house and irritate everybody.
Oh, that's
It's
fantastic.
incredible.
Just be like screwing with people sitting in your office. Be like, boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom, boom.
Yes.
We're like,
Oh.
where is that coming from? Like the guy that didn't realize his truck was
Yeah,
connected
so
to
you
his
talked
phone.
about a week ago. And I've done that. Sadly to say, I thought about that later on. I've done that. I'll be working out in the garage and I have my Bluetooth speakers out there. And then I come in the house and I go, oh, I need to look at this. And I'm like, it's not on. Why can't I hear it? And it's playing out in the garage. And I'm sure, if whatever it was, whether it be like something on Facebook or whatever that I was listening to, somebody walking down the streets probably hearing it because it's blasting.
Sure.
Because I got it full, all the way
That's
up.
funny.
But, I like that, and I'm calling you out now because you still need to teach me how to play well. I know you're a drummer, but
Drums.
hey, whatever. They're all
I do play guitar.
beats, see?
That's probably like, I don't know if it's interesting, but I have a wall of guitars, but mine are all like super hard to find. Like I don't want to play them because they're super hard to find guitars.
Oh no.
Like my 1970 Panko is almost worth as much as my house.
See? I'd be selling it just to pay off the house.
I've thought about it. Anyway, all right.
Today's topic.
Speaking without saying a word. So
this is going to be a really quiet episode.
Yeah, whatever. When I think about that, like body language or playing games instead of paying attention to your spouse.
Oh.
So we think body language, but I think body language, yes. And my wife, like we've talked about this, so this isn't going to be new to her if she listens to the show. But one of the things that bugs me so much is like, I want to go do things. Those things. It's exactly what we're talking. Or anything for that matter. Or I want to ask a question or whatever, and she's just Candy Crush, whatever. Which I don't care that she's playing the game, but it's we could be doing other things like talking or hanging out or whatever. And there's she's much better at it now. Like there's times now we'll have the, hey, do we need to talk about stuff? But when I think that would be an example of, it's not that we're not talking. It's that one wants to, and the other one's just going through their game, playing video games. We do it, and there are girls that do it, but guys do it. They just get lost. You have headphones, play Modern Warfare till the sun comes up. What part of your relationship is struggling because you've been on your on your PlayStation or your Xbox or your computer all night long? What is that saying to your spouse? Where does that put their value?
Right.
We talk about love languages. We talked about this several times. Eventually, maybe we'll get permission to do a whole series on it because that's
definitely
Gary Chapman. I think it's Gary Chapman.
Yeah.
Anyway, my wife's number one is physical touch, and number two is quality time. Those might be backwards. Tells you how much I pay attention. But I know that they're quality time and physical touch. And for her, it's physical touch. It's when we're watching TV, we hold hands, or I'll rub the back of her neck or something. That's physical touch. And then quality time, just being in the same room. For her, it's not that we necessarily need to be doing something, but being in the same room. But there's some days that I'm the same way. She'll want to watch a movie or something with me, and I'm buried in social media. Or I've got this thing on my lap. What am I saying with what I'm doing that's affecting the relationship? Because we don't always think about it. We're out. Guys, we keep our minds busy because we don't want to be running off doing all the things we're not supposed to. So we're out in the garage for hours on hours minding our own business because life catches up with us. But then our spouses think that we're mad at them or something's wrong. And there's really not anything wrong. It's just we're giving off the impression that we're mad or angry or upset about something because we're not talking. It's just our nature. But could we be more involved or doing something with our spouses? There are times, yes, we got to be in the garage.
Definitely.
Trucks break. Kids need stuff fixed. Or my favorite thing is to go sit in my camping chair in the driveway and just watch the kids ride bikes up and down the street. I'm not doing anything. and my wife knows that, but there are some days where I'm just it's 8 o'clock at night. I have no reason to be in the garage, and I'm in the garage. What could I be doing instead, maybe with my spouse? And it's not saying it has to be all the time, but, if you're out in your garage 6 nights a week, maybe take one of them and go sit with your wife or your girlfriend or whatever. You don't have to go out. Like in my case, we don't have to go do anything because we're broke. Like you can't go do anything. But we can watch Netflix and literally just chill. Like it doesn't have to lead to Netflix and chill. It's just watching movies.
Right.
I'm not going to say no if it does, but you know what I'm saying. Anyway, what does that look like for you? Speaking without saying a word.
I'm right there with you. We can sit there and whether it be social media, whether it be the TV, anything, games. Honestly, as you were talking, I sat there and I thought about it, and I've done it on purpose,
Right?
you know. And it's not. I mean, and it's wrong what I did, but I've sat there, my wife standing behind me, waiting for me to do something, and I was playing a game. And I did it on purpose because I was upset at the moment, and I just like, nope, I'm going to keep playing this game. And it's a game that doesn't require constant playing. You can put it down and walk away, then resume by picking it back up. That in itself would be saying something. It's saying that I value this game more than I value what I need to do for you. And that could be inadvertently or on purpose, as it was in that case right there. I'm going to run home today and apologize to my wife, just so everybody knows.
Well, yeah.
Hold me accountable for that.
And don't hear what we're not saying. Those things are okay. Not playing a game on purpose.
Right.
Playing video games, working out in the garage, whatever it is. Like, those are things we do. And that's fine. Just like eating. In moderation. There are times you need to spend time with your spouse, and if you want your relationship to go well, you need to work on it. Being out in the garage by yourself is not working on your relationship. But there are times, like Kim knows, I just go do stuff in the garage. That's how I started. This thing isn't finished, but you can't see this. But under this is a fireplace. You know, I go out in the garage and work on this, but that's working on something she's asked me to do. But there are times I just go in the garage and just play in the toolbox. I'm not even doing anything. I'm just going through the toolbox. That's okay. But if they're doing it at the expense of your relationship with your spouse, maybe you need to work on it. Like, because, you know, it started out happy wife, happy life, but happy spouse, happy house. And that's super cliche, but true to an extent. And that's not saying you need, as guys, that's not saying you need to give up all your hobbies and all your things and just go wait on your wife. Because if you appear needy, that's a whole different conversation. But like, don't hear that. I'm not saying don't ever play video games, but maybe are those things part of the tension and the lack of communication and the foundation being crumbled and the house just falling apart, the figurative house. If your house is falling apart because you're playing video games, you should call a guy. But, you know what I'm saying? And that's like, for me, like for a long time, that was I would go on bike rides, like bicycle rides, just to get out of the house. Or I'd go out in the garage and I'll do anything. Not because I was mad at my wife or I was upset or grumpy, but that's just like, I grew up doing that stuff. That's what I go do.
Right.
Not realizing that my not wanting to be near or around my wife, because that's her love language, is affecting how she feels about me. And so when we ask the question, speaking without saying words, not participating in family stuff, things like that. And so I don't know what that looks like for each person because it's different. I'm not a video game person, so for me, it's not that when I sit down and play video games, my wife usually understands that's how I just need to mentally disconnect for a little bit, and she usually leaves me alone.
Right.
Like, unless there's something like drastic that needs to happen. But it's like once a month, once every other month, I just pick a day and I just play forever.
Nice.
But I'm like, I haven't turned my PlayStation. I don't even think it's plugged in. So I'm not a gamer.
Right.
But I'll go work on the cars just to work on the cars. Like, there's nothing wrong with them. I'll go out there and work on them. I say that. I have 4 cars and 3 of them run. So there's probably something wrong with a car, but it's not like imminent that it needs to be fixed. And I could just keep doing that, but I like set myself timers. And I'm a schedule guy. So I know at 4:00 I need to come inside because it's the end of my wife's workday. I need to work on dinner so we can sit down and have an evening together. But 10 years ago, that didn't happen. I'd just be out there till I couldn't see anymore, and then I'd go get the flashlight and keep working, not knowing that that's like, how does that make your wife feel? Like, you fell in love and all of this stuff, and now, like, you don't want to be together, or your focus is somewhere else. And it's not that those things are bad, but you also need to put, priorities, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Limitations on the areas that you're putting your focus. For me, there's times where, I just ask, hey, I got to go do this. Why don't you just come outside with me?
Oh, yeah.
Little things like that. And like Kim, my love language is physical touch. So if she's just out there with me, I could be doing something completely different, but she's out there. She's in the garage. I'm doing something, working on the car, organizing my toolbox. I have mild OCD, but when it comes to my toolbox, my family has their own toolbox. I used to have a toolbox, and I gave that to them with all the tools in it, and I bought my own. Mine has a lock. Mine has a key. I have the key. That's it. Nobody else has the key. But I mean, I'll do things like that. But just to have her out there is a whole different ball game for me. And even by doing that, that's speaking volumes to her, because now I'm including her. It's not excluding her. I can be out there doing things. I went and bought obviously here in Arizona, it's really blasted hot during the summer in a garage, even with it open. I went out and bought like a portable swamp cooler. She'll sit in the chair. Back the cars out of the garage. I'll start doing what I need to do. And the swamp cooler's blowing in the garage. She's fine. We'll have the little music going, whatever. But it's the things like that that you can speak volumes with.
Oh, yeah.
Without actually saying words.
Sure. There's all kinds of stuff like that. We're in a spot in our marriage where I don't have a normal job. So
Right.
I homeschool our kids, and I'm the primary chore person. I don't know. Like, I do all the housework. I'm Mr. Mom.
Mr. Mom.
So, like, those kind of things, like, for me, it's a long time ago, Kim said, if the kitchen's clean, she feels like the house is clean. So the whole rest of the house can be falling apart. You can look at other than the fact that my couch is in the kitchen now. My kitchen's clean.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter what, in her mind, it doesn't matter what the upstairs of our house looks like, which is probably full of laundry and kids playing with toys. But the kitchen's clean. So at the end of every night, that's the last thing I make sure, that the kitchen's clean and the trash is out, because the rest doesn't matter to her. I don't say anything. That's not body language. That's whatever. What am I saying? I'm saying, hey, 15 years ago, she told me the kitchen needs to be clean for her to feel like the house is clean. So that's what I focus on. It doesn't happen every day. I get up 3 or 4 hours before her, so there's some days I just do it first thing in the morning.
Right.
She knows this. Like, it's not a secret. But that's similar things. Like, it's my season to make sure that the house is clean.
Nice.
We have a chore chart. I make sure the kids go through their chore chart. Probably the one picky thing is we try to do a load of laundry every day, because there's 5 of us, and if I just set it works out pretty good with this newfangled technology stuff, right? So I set the washer to start at like 7 in the morning, and so it's done by the time I get up. I can put it in the dryer when I get up, and the kids can put it away before school. So then the laundry's done for the day. Those kind of things. Like, that's doing things that help the whole family. Like, my kids probably don't understand the concept of I run the washer machine at 7 in the morning, so you have clean underwear when you get up. But my wife understands that 6 days a week, because on Mondays I don't do anything for anybody. That's my day off. 6 days a week, the kitchen's going to be clean and the laundry's going to be done and the kids are going to be taken care of. Like, that speaks more than me just saying something simple, or like flowers.
Right.
Although, as a joke, I got my wife a pair of flowers that like never die. Like, they're made out of grass, like out of like seagrass. So I was like, hey, I don't have to buy you. This is not a good idea. I don't have to buy you flowers anymore because I got you a set that just stay. I said that for years. It's the buying flower, like, they expect it on Mother's Day.
Yeah.
And birthdays.
Valentine's.
But when you buy them in the middle of August, good stuff.
Yeah.
Speaking without saying a word, bring home flowers, unless your wife's birthday's in August. Bring home flowers in August. Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah, and it's little things like that. I mean, it's just, it shows that you were thinking about them. Uh-oh, here it comes.
So, do we have time for this? I think so. Yeah. That's my kids. You want to know like how your life processes? Listen to your kids' reactions. So I have two of them. So we're driving to the store the other day. Or where were we going? Oh, I was going to drop Kim off to go do something with her mom, and we were sitting at the light up here by Fry's. Right next to Steph's thing.
Okay.
And all three of the kids almost in unison, "Mommy, it's your favorite coffee place." It's Starbucks on the corner.
I know right where it's at.
But I forget what it is. So whenever like we just run out of time and we didn't get dinner done or whatever, like we'd feed the kids, and then it'd be like 10 o'clock at night, and I would go get chicken. Like I'd go to Cane's, or I'd be out running around or whatever, and like I'd like. Oh, I used to, when I would like, church was at night, I would play at other churches in the morning. I'd stop and get Kim lunch on the way home from wherever I played that week. Right. It was always Cane's. And so that turned into, my kids understand that Daddy loves you. He's going to go get you chicken.
There it is.
So all the time, like we'd be doing something, and like one of my daughters said, "Daddy, are you going to go get Mommy chicken?" Like, what? She's like, "You love Mommy, and she hasn't had lunch yet. Are you going to go get her chicken?"
There you go.
I'm like, okay. Like, no, I'm not going to get her chicken. I probably ended up going to get chicken.
Right.
But that's the idea that all the other things we do, like, yes, we listen to listen. We validate that they've been heard. We listen for support because there are things that they want our opinion on that we can't fix. And then there are things that we can fix. Turn signals, cabinets, whatever the issue is.
Absolutely.
Like, we're being trivial, but there are things we can fix. But then there's, what are we saying without talking? Bringing home chicken when we don't have to. You know, going to her favorite coffee shop, ordering flowers when it's not her birthday or a special holiday, helping her out with house chores, because not every marriage is like mine where I'm Mr. Mom and I do all that stuff. She actually does those things for me. There'll be days where I have a meeting or I'm doing something for one of my other jobs, and I've just spent the whole day in training. And so I started at like 6 or 7 in the morning, and I got to like 8 o'clock at night, and I didn't do any chores. And I'll come down and the dishes are done. And I'm legitimately shocked. I'm like, why'd you do that? That's like, you bust your butt all the time. Like,
right.
She's like, yeah, but you had to work today, because like I Uber and I do like content creation, so I don't have a real job. But there are some days, like when I Uber on Fridays and Saturdays, I put a 40-hour work week into 2 days, and come home on Sundays and the dishes are done. I'm like, what happened? Why are the dishes done? She's like, you had to work. And I'm like, but it's not your job. Like that's me. So like I appreciate those things, but those are things that are done without saying a word.
Yeah, and it speaks volumes.
Yeah,
I mean,
right?
It really does. So, I mean, being able to do something like that, whether it's for you, whether it's for your spouse or whatever.
Sure.
It's honestly, it's the little things. We hear that, and it's like, but I mean, the little things do speak volumes when they're done, you know, just out of love.
Yeah. And it's knowing the little things that make the most impact. For my wife, it's a clean kitchen. For me, like, it's cleaning the car. Like, I hate when there's like even like straw wrappers left in the car. And so my wife will make it a point, if she takes my car somewhere, especially my Uber car, because like I keep that like super clean.
Immaculate, yeah.
She'll like, okay, I cleaned out the car. And like, and it used to be a long time ago, like, all right, I knew Kim drove the car, so I need to get up a little earlier to go clean out the car. I don't have to do that anymore, because now she understands, and she does that. She's like, okay, I use the car, it needs to be cleaned out. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's true. And I mean, that's where you also, I had to learn. Stephanie doesn't keep her car as clean as I keep my truck. My truck is like you, I have to keep it clean.
Yeah.
Just because I do that. But, you know, the last time I drove Stephanie's car, I was like, oh my gosh. And she got in the car and was like, here, let me grab a trash bag before you get in. And I'm like, why? And then I realized, oh,
sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, and whatever. I mean, it's her car. That if she's going to drive it around like that, that's fine. But me not flying off the handle spoke volumes.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I'm like, oh my gosh. But, you know, to have little things like that to where we can just speak without speaking.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
That's exactly what we're talking about.
So this one's hard. We can't do I don't think we can do it. Like, what does that look like? What's a practical way to do that other than all the things we've just shared? But that's going to be between you guys and gals and your spouses, your significant others. What's something you can do for them, or what's something you're doing that you could change or maybe do less of that's impacting your relationship, but without actually saying anything.
Definitely.
Most common one is video games or whatever it is that you do as guys. We do things to keep our minds busy. It's not that we're like grumpy or angry or mean or doing anything wrong, but it's just how we keep our mind busy versus taking a moment to spend with our spouse. So those kind of things. Think about that. Let us know. Send us a comment. What's that thing that you're doing that's either good or not so great that's impacting your relationship because you're doing something without saying a word? While you're down there, hit a like and subscribe. Let us know your comments. You got a topic idea, shoot us a message. We will try very hard to answer all of them. But until until next week, it's been a day, right? Until next week, enjoy yourselves. Have a good time. I don't know what we're talking about next week. If you need help, don't forget, we are not professionals. Go seek help if you need it. That is okay. There are plenty of well-qualified professionals that can help you do what you are seeking, help you with communication, marriage, life, teenagers, children, all of that stuff. But until then, have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next week. Later.